Hey everybody, welcome to Lore Friday for January 1st, 2022. I'm your host, DM Gallibond. Before we get started tonight, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, click the post notification bell, and that way you will get notified every time new content drops on the channel. Here at Lore Friday, what we do is we examine adventures that are part of published D&D campaigns, and we look at how, what elements there are in this adventure, the themes, how you can pull these adventures apart and use elements from them in your own homebrew campaigns. And then I tell you a little bit about the synopsis and some of my favorite elements from the adventure. Tonight we are going to be looking at the second adventure that is part of the Out of the Abyss campaign. This campaign was published in September 15th, 2015. It is a Tier 1 adventure for level 2 characters. And the theme of Into Darkness is to navigate the alien environment of the Underdark. And the setting for Into Darkness is the vast caverns of the Underdark wilderness, if you will, between civilized settlements populated by different humanoids. Now, teaser for this one is that the demon battle at Velkynvelve gave you a chance to escape, but now you're in an alien environment with no idea how to find a way back to your own world on the surface. Can you survive before you die of starvation or become prey for some horrible unseen menace in the Underdark? Dun dun dun! Previously, you and your fellow party members escaped the Drow outpost at Velkynvelve. Now you need to survive on your own in the wilderness of the untamed Underdark. This adventure provides more exposition and world building for the Out of the Abyss campaign. It provides, in this case, it provides details that flesh out the wilderness of the Underdark between the various settlements that are detailed in the other parts of the campaign. For now, the PCs need to grapple with practical issues. Where should they go? How can they get there? How far can they travel between rests? How long does it take to get from where they are to where they want to go? How can they find food when their rations or any supplies they stole from Velkynvelve run out? And just what dangers do lurk in the wilds of the Underdark anyway? And those Drow that they ran away from at Velkynvelve, are they going to pursue them? And also on top of all that, can they find a way out of the Underdark to the surface world? So this adventure provides a map of the Underdark beneath the continent of Faerun, and it points out locations that are relevant to the story. It also provides travel times using the medium travel pace to get between the major settlements that are detailed in the campaign. The section also provides some notes on light sources and illumination in the Underdark, the disorientation of travel in the Underdark for creatures that are from the surface world, and the kinds of random encounters the party can find. Now, two related dangers to prolonged travel in the Underdark are also detailed. Exhaustion, which is a very real possibility, and a type of madness that's induced by the environment itself and by the corruption of the demon lords that are now loose in the Underdark. So another danger of escaping a Drow prison camp is that the Drow don't want their slaves running free. Drow consider everybody that they have captured as a slave at one point or another, they're still property. And there are rules in this particular section of the campaign for how the PCs are tracked and pursued by the Drow throughout the entire campaign. And there's a scale of danger that lets you as a DM know if the pursuit is getting closer or getting further away. And that can be useful for sustaining tension and making the players feel like they can't stop and rest until they find a place of refuge. So in between every time they go to a settlement, it's not like just, oh, la-di-da, we can travel along. It's like, no. There's those Drow that back at the beginning, they had you captive. They're still on your trail. And I don't care, you're 7th level now. They're still after you, and there's probably a lot of them. And they probably are more powerful than you still. So that's a thing that is used in this particular piece of the adventure to keep that suspense and everything going. Another thing to consider with this one is if any of the fellow prisoners other than the PCs survived the escape from Velkynvelve, several of them know the way and want to go to one settlement or another within the Underdark. And of course, this one wants to go here, that one wants to go there. They will each try to pitch and persuade the PCs that their destination is going to be the most helpful to the PCs. Other survivors are just passengers. They're not going to try to figure out where to go. They just want to travel along with the PCs. Others are people that have no interest in finding a settlement of the Underdark. All they want to do is get out. And then there's still others that have a couple of ulterior motives for staying with the party that aren't always clear to the PCs at the beginning and don't become clear until later on. So this section of the campaign talks about foraging for food, which includes hunting and killing small mundane creatures, as well as notes on the various fungi that the PCs might find while they're in the Underdark. And some of those fungi are safe to eat, some are inedible, and some are downright poisonous. So finally, after the way of most campaigns, this section has a full list of potential random encounters that includes everything from Drow pursuers to a friendly, if somewhat insane, society of Underdark denizens that are investigating strange happenings and will help the PCs as long as it doesn't inconvenience their own agenda too much. So random encounters include both combat encounters and non-combat encounters. Some of those combat encounters are encounters with terrain. Some are encounters with simple creatures, and there's other encounters that are built where it includes some kind of terrain hazard as well as a monster. And sometimes those monsters you have to fight, sometimes you don't. Then there are a number of subtables for each of those encounters that specify different details about each one. And one of the unique encounters that you'll find in this that is tied to the campaign is a warning rune that the PCs may see from time to time. Now, non-Drow will have no idea what this warning rune means, but careful observation and correlation as they travel can eventually help the PCs learn the significance of the rune and what it means. This piece of the campaign is a piece that you are supposed to come back to every time the party leaves another settlement of the Underdark to travel somewhere else. So this is kind of the recurring travel montage section of the campaign. And there are some set encounters, but in future weeks we're going to look at each of those set encounters separately. We're not going to lump them all in with this particular discussion today. In this area with these random encounters that are put in during your travel time, the most common enemies that the PCs are going to find are humanoids that are native to the Underdark. And the toughest encounter here, it's really hard to say what the toughest encounter would be because all the encounters in this section can be randomly generated. If you're DM and you just want to let the dice dictate what happens, it can be completely random. The most difficult single creature they might run into here is a Barlgura, which is a CR5 kind of, I believe, demon. Special creatures or items that they'll find. The special creatures really are the NPCs that make up the Society of Brilliance. Now, this Society of Brilliance is a group of individuals of various races that either are native to the Underdark or are commonly found in the Underdark that have interesting personality quirks and interesting abilities. There's also a strange creature called a Roctopus, which is a giant octopus that has evolved to live in the caves of the Underdark away from water. And then there's also the detailed in here the unique species of fungi that are native to the Underdark. My favorite element of this particular adventure, just as the Escape Velkynvelve adventure that we looked at last week gives us sort of a day-in-the-life glimpse of a frontier drow outpost, this particular adventure provides wilderness details for Underdark travel. So this chapter can provide a lot of good details if you have a campaign or a campaign arc that is set in the Underdark. So a few elements are specific to the Out of the Abyss campaign, but most of this adventure could be mined for descriptives and setting information to help flesh out any Underdark campaign. All those tables and tables of random encounters with a very little amount of work. You could mine those and take those tables almost whole cloth and dump them into your own Underdark campaign and find really useful random encounter tables to use there. Now, of course, there's one or two items that are very specific and are tied in to the Out of the Abyss campaign, but then you either just change the percentage chance you'll get the other options, or you can substitute something that is specific to your own campaign for the items that are specific to Out of the Abyss. The easiest homebrew adaptation, obviously, this adventure is suitable for any campaign arc that involves travel through the Underdark, wilderness, if you will. And using this with other editions, well, the Underdark has been around as long as Drow have been around. So this can be used with older editions fairly easily. All right, that's going to wrap it up for our look at Into Darkness from the Out of the Abyss campaign. Next week, we are going to be looking at the adventure called The Silken Path. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, click the post notification bell so that you can get notified every time new content drops. Thank you so much for sticking around and watching. I have been DM Gallibond. This has been Lore Friday. We hope we will see you back next time on Lore Friday. Good night, everybody.